Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this PDF file in a text editor. Now, the things you'll need are Vim. And the reason why we're going to be using Vim is because other text editors may try to format it weirdly or do something that causes the PDF to be corrupt, but Vim, in my experience, is the only editor that doesn't do that, VI and Vim. Now, we're going to explain what objects are, but before we can do that, we have to get ourselves a text editor. We'll be going in LX terminal for this, and we'll be going to this directory here. Paste. Yeah, no duh. CD. Oh, not a good day. There we go. We are now in the document. Location, folder, directory, there we go. And we're going to create a new PDF file, and we're going to call it youtube.pdf. You can call it whatever you want, obviously, it's just a file name. Now, it really helps if you come into this tutorial with a bit of programming experience, because PDF is not really a light subject. It's a pretty simple file format, don't get me wrong, but it really helps if you have that a little bit of programming knowledge. But if you don't worry, try to understand. I'll guide you through it. First off, the first line, don't forget that where you place everything is very important in PDF. Being it's not really a language that's meant to be edited in a text editor, but if we do this, we really understand how PDFs work, and it's really fun. And I do some of my school assignments in text editors in PDF, just because, well, it's so boring I need to take my mind off it by doing what I like to do. So the first line we're going to be doing is %. What the % means is a comment, but we have to create a comment at the top of the document saying PDF hyphen, and then we need to say what version of PDF we're writing for. We're going to be writing for 1.7. This is important because if you use a too low size, and you're trying to use something that's not in your PDF version, and your readers can be like, I don't know what you mean. So you want to get your version number right, or at least above what you're trying to do. 1.7 for me, that's the version of the specification I was reading, the reference guide. So I'm going to stick with 1.7 because I know it, and it's pretty recent. What was it, like 2008? That's pretty recent for file formats go. You're just saying, what? 1080p wasn't even on YouTube in that time. I know, but it is a PDF file. Videos are supported in PDF and images, but I'm not going to go over that just because I do know how to do it. I'll go over it in a future tutorial, maybe. But it's just that PDF files, when you're embedding images, videos, fonts and stuff, you're putting the file right in the PDF. And it was designed that way so that computers, well, you can transport over a single file to another computer without having this big zip file with all your files in it for the document. You just create a single file PDF file, has everything you need in it. One download, you can download it, it'll appear here, and yeah. I'm gonna just block out those downloads. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Anyways, so enough of that. I'm now gonna explain objects. I believe that's what I'm gonna do now. Yes, explain what objects are. Objects are basically everything in PDF. They're how PDF knows how to recognize things. So when you reference something, you reference it by object. We're going to create an object because everything you create will be inside an object, except the objects themselves, which will be just created in the body of the document. Yeah. So first off, we're going to start at 1, not 0. If you're programming, that may irritate you, but don't worry, because we will be creating the 0 object at the end. That's why we start at 1 now. Object, first of all, revision number. Obviously, this is the number of which object it is, so every time you create an object, 2, 0, object, 3, 0, object, etc. But what about the second number? The second number is a revision number, and that is basically for revisions, but we aren't going to do that because we're writing in a text editor. We're not editing the PDF file in, say, Adobe, whatever they use. I haven't used Adobe Suite before, except for Photoshop. And now we're introduced with two new characters. An object tells us it's an object, you need that. These two characters, and it's terminated with these two characters, define a dictionary. A dictionary holds a set of values that you can set or modify. And after every object, we're going to have end object, end obj. So this is the basic structure you'll see in almost every object. Well, pretty well every object. You might not have a dictionary in your object. You might. You mostly will. Anyhow, this first object is very important to get right, because that's where the root is. And we're gonna have a new item called type, new key, and it's gonna be catalog. We need a slash here that tells it it's a preset name item, and it's not a command. Because if we just did this, that would be a command. Wad is not actually a command, I don't think, but do, bt, etc. Those are all commands, so we use slash to differentiate them, and so it doesn't try to read it as one. So type catalog. And that's basically a catalog object. It's telling that this object is a catalog object. Now, we're going to need pages, and this item is going to tell the document reader where the pages dictionary is. We're going to put that at 20R. But wait a second, what does this R mean? We know that 2 is the object number, 0 is the revision number, but what about R? R just means it's a reference. So now we're passing this new object we're creating now as a reference, and it has a type of pages. And what we're also going to need as pages is kids. We're going to have kids of 30R, and it actually has to be in an array. If you worked with programming before, you'll know what an array is. So basically in JavaScript, it would look like var kids equals 3 0 r, or I guess if you had a variable or item named r, you would have r there, and that would be your array. But it's not separated by commas or anything, it's separated by spaces. Alright, that's pretty interesting in my experience, but you know, whatever. Now we're gonna need count. This tells the PDF how many pages there are. Before we get into this, say we have count of 2, and that means there are going to be 2 pages in the document. We would have to have another one, say it's at 50R, tell us a reference again. 70R, that would be if it was 3, but for now, we're just going to have a 1-page document. It's pretty straightforward once you realize how simple it is. We're going to have another key, media box, in another array. Just gonna end the object so we don't forget to do that. Now this is pretty interesting. So we have a media box. Okay, you don't really need to know what that is. It's just how big your page is gonna be. So we're gonna put 00612 by 792, and that's the letter size. So here in Canada, our standard is letter size. I know some other countries they use A4 or whatever, but we use letter, and this is the size for letter. What you can do is I search PostScript letter size on Google. What you can do is PostScript A4 size. And you see, yeah, there. In PostScript, its dimensions are rounded off by 595 by 842 points. So yeah, there we go. That's your PostScript letter size, or A4 size in that case. I'm just going to expand this window a bit so we can see. There we go. So that's the standard letter size for us in Canada, right here. You would obviously replace that with your size. These two numbers would be replaced with the paper size. So this means we have coordinates at 0, 0, and in PDF, coordinates start at the bottom left corner. So what I mean by that is, say we have a graph, an imaginary graph, my cursor here. We have an imaginary graph with my cursor here. 0, 0. That would be at the bottom here. 0, 1 would be here. 1, 0 would be here. 1, 1 would be here. 2, 1 would be here, and so on and so forth. So now that we have this defined, we are pretty well almost done. Well, more like 2/5 of the way there. And that's pretty close to almost done. This is really it's one of the easiest parts though. This is a little bit of a harder part. We need to, now, this is a type, and it's not a pages type, but it's a page type. Don't get those confused, because I have done it before. Well, I haven't gotten confused, but I accidentally called this page once and it didn't work. So yeah, don't do that. So now we need to tell it where all our resources are going to be. What our resources are, it's going to be fonts, it's going to be images, it's going to be stuff like that. Fonts, images, videos, etc. So we're going to put that at 40. We're going to create another object 40, and the page contents are going to be at 50. Then we're going to end this object. 40, create our resources type, and we don't need to give this a type. All we're doing here is referring it to a dictionary. We don't need to give it the type. I don't even know if there is a type for our resources, but whatever. So when you're defining resources, you're going to have /font if it's a font, /image if it's an image. No, we're going to have /xobject if it's an image, etc., etc. So we're going to define a font. And how we're going to define fonts is, say we're typing the name first. Font 1, we'll say F1. But if we want another font, maybe font 1 bold, we just do that. We keep doing F2, etc. We don't really want any of that right now. We're just going to create one font, and we're going to give this a type of a font. And don't forget that we have these dictionaries here. You're going to want to put this on full screen so you can see this better. I should have said that at the start. Whoops. /type /font. And we're going to have a new one here. Subtype. Subtype is type 1. This tells it what type of font it is. And this is going to be a type 1 font that we're putting in. You can search for type 1 fonts, but the most common is Helvetica. And if your computer doesn't have Helvetica, the font installed, it should substitute it for one it does have installed. And we're going to get another item here called base font. And this just tells it what the font is, basically. Helvetica. So now we have a font called Helvetica. That's great. And now this is done. Now we're gonna have this object, and it's gonna have a size, because it's now gonna be, this is gonna be a really weird one. It's gonna be new, and it's gonna be exciting. Size of 1000. This doesn't have to be right for the moment. I'm gonna show you how to fix the PDF file later in the tutorial. So now we're gonna have stream and end stream. And we're also going to have end object. So stream, end stream. In between here is going to be the stream, which is basically the contents of the dictionary we want. Basically, kind of hard to define it. But anyhow, inside our page, we are pretty well done now. We're not done actually. We need another object. Xref 0. This is the 0 object I was talking about. In this one, we don't put object, we put Xref first, then the object number, then the revision number. Actually, no, we don't put the revision number. For the revision number, we put 6. Why do we put 6? Well, there are 5 objects here, plus 1 Xref object here. So, this is just basically the amount of objects in the page, so all the objects, including the Xref, make 6 objects. Make sure you don't have a line after here, or a space or anything. So now, this is where we put our byte offsets, but we're not going to do that just yet, because it's going to change when we're finished. Now we're going to put a trailer dictionary. It's going to be a size of 6, same number as the revision number here. Root of 10R. That'll be always 10R. How long have I been recording for? I guess I'll never know. Okay. So now, we're going to put start Xref, and percent, remember this is a comment, and the comment is going to be percent EOF. That tells it where the end of the file is, and it's a comment with percent EOF. Start comment, percent EOF. Now, our document, we should see a page when we try to view our document. So, slash home slash exol italic with an extra O and documents YouTube. Now we have this new page here, and you see it does work. We have a letter size page here. Great. So now that we have this letter size page, we want to put some stuff on it. Now in the stream is what's going to be on this page here. So let's start. We're not going to start with text right away because text is one of the more advanced objects. Not the most advanced one, but one of them. So we're going to start off with rectangles. Rectangles are we're going to be pretty well used in every document if you want it to look nice. I mean, you could have an entirely text, but that would be bland. We want some rectangles and fancy stuff. So how we create a rectangle, what I should do first is explain commands. So here's what I've explained so far. I've explained what objects are, I've explained how objects work, I explained how to get a basic PDF file working, I explained streams, I haven't explained byte offsets yet, and I'll explain the byte Xref, I haven't explained the byte offsets yet, or the Xref section yet, but I'll do that after. What I'm going to do now is explain the commands in PDF. Commands, they're pretty interesting. It's a stack-based command language thing. Yes, technical definition. So, the arguments are going to come first, then the command. So what I mean by that is, so we want to change the fill color 0. to 0.3, and that's 30% gray, G. G changes the fill color, and the argument comes first. We could also have a color fill color by having 3 values. So say we want a nice light blue. So we're gonna have 30%, or no, 70% red, 70% green, 100% blue, RG. If it was grayscale, we put a G, but no, we want RG right now because it's red, green, and blue. If you get the grayscale and the color arguments mixed up, it won't work. Okay, so now let's put our rectangle about here. Now, I'm gonna put it from 10 away from the X position, which is up here, and not forgetting that the coordinates start at the bottom left here, we need to put it all the way up here. So, how to do that is really simple. We're going to take this number, the height of the document, and subtract it by the height of our rectangle minus some padding, or some margin space. So, we're going to put it at about 760, 770, 780, 790, so 30 tall, 33F. Now if you refresh the document, you'll see we have 2 points of margin space and 10 margin space from the X position. Now, you see we have this rectangle, cool. We can create multiple rectangles, maybe different color, 2.7 RG, now 40, that should be right, 760, 30, 3F. Yep, so basically we can just keep on putting these rectangles everywhere. Rectangles everywhere. Now how about we change the page size? Or change the page, how about we change the page background color? Simple. All we gotta do is, say we want to have this nice light blue. We're just going to put it at 0 left, 0 bottom, 612 by 792. The page size, a rectangle that covers a full page. Now we have a blue page. So there's no implicit way to set the background color of the page as far as I know, but we can just cover it with a rectangle, which works just as well, if you ask me. So that's all fine and good, but what about text now? We already defined a font, but I mean, the PDF file is kind of useless if there's no information conveyed in it by text. Don't worry, that's not that hard. So we're going to have these two commands here, begin text and end text. So the first argument we're going to put for the TF command is, which basically changes the font, F1, and we're also going to have, because F1 is the name of the font here, as we defined here, but we're also going to have the size of the font. We're going to make it 12 points, which is standard. I think 12 points is pretty universal of a font size. TD command, which is the where the text is going to be placed. So we're going to put that at 770. There we go. And now we're going to have TJ, which will display the text in a string. Now the strings are placed in brackets. Any string you'll see is in brackets. But what if you want to have a bracket in your string? Well, you just put a backslash in front of it. See, we can have, we'll print that first, why not? One thing we forgot to do is set the background, or the fill color. There we go. Fill color is now set. We have these parentheses here, brackets, if you would rather. But that's not very useful. Let's put some text in it. Hello. This is my really cool PDF file. So it worked. Let's, I seem to miscalculate the position of the PDF file, but no worries, we'll just put that up. There we go. So what about line breaks? What if we want a new line? Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to retype the BC command again. But that's not too hard to do. 2, 7, 6. What I usually do is, if it's a 12-point font, I take away 14 from the Y position. Then I carry on. PDF files are really cool and neat. But if we go to the PDF files online here, PDF validation tools online, a really good website to test out your PDF files and see if they're compliant. Ours are not going to be compliant. Let's select our files to validate, youtube.pdf, and you'll see there are multiple issues with it. Start Xref keyword, or the Xref position was not found. You'll say, but hey, didn't we already place the start Xref keyword? Yes, but the Xref table is invalid. A file trailer is missing or invalid. It's not true, it's just because we don't have the position set up yet. The page or page tree node has missing parent tree. That's right, we actually did forget to do that. All your pages are going to need to have a parent item, parent key. So in this case it's 20R. So now if we select the file to validate and try again, that'll be gone. So now we have less issues. Start Xref not found, length is wrong, and the file trailer is missing. Let's fix all these issues, but first we're going to need to do something. This is why I recommended Vim, and why Vim is so useful for creating PDF files, or even fixing them. This tutorial is also great for fixing PDF files. You may notice that if you open some PDF files, it looks like complete garbage. That's because they use compression. Good luck if you want to fix those. Anyhow, we're going to set ruler format, ruler, equals byte %0. Oh dear. There we go. And you see, it tells us where our byte position is at. Now what we need to do is we need to subtract the byte position by 1 in our head, because that's just how things work. So if we take a look at these objects, you'll notice the byte position for this is at 10, but we'll put it at 9 because that's where PDF wants it to be. 9, 58, 139, 219, and 311. First off, what we're going to do is do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 9 zeros. And all the byte positions are going to have 9 zeros in them. So keep that in mind. 65535 is 0. Or F. This is a special one because I honestly have no idea why it's required, to be quite honest. It's always going to be this value. So ignore this, just remember that this is what it needs to be. So for this first object, remember the position was at 9. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 9. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, n. I believe these numbers are the revision numbers, like what revision it is, or what version it is. But we don't need to worry about that, because all ours are going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And what you'll notice is when you put a space after both of these, the space and the new line are required. If you're on Windows, I believe you don't need to do that. However, if you're on Windows 8, you should be using Vim, in which case you will be required to do that, because that's life. Anyhow, remember the second object. I don't remember where it was, so let's go and find it. 58. F means free, N means it's taken up. So you see these objects are taken up. 140. $219. Anyone? Oh, I made a mistake. 139. $219. 311. Make sure they all have spaces after them. And I think that's it. Yep. So now that we have that, all our byte positions are placed. What these do is they tell the document reader where all the objects are, and if they're free or taken. So now we're going to place the position of the Xref word 528 after the trailer. Or is it after start Xref? Nah, can't be. Now, we're going to have to put the size of this. How we're going to do that is we're going to take the starting position. We don't have to subtract 1 because we're doing basic math. BC. So we're going to take the first number will be the last number. I should have started at the last number. The last letter here is 507. So we take the first letter, or we take the last letter and subtract it by the first letter, and that gives us our length. In this case, is it length? It's a length. Length 167. I don't know why I put size. So now we can see, actually, our Xref position is going to be subtracted by 1 because of that. Yes. Let's validate. So it doesn't conform. Singer not valid. It might be after this actually. 17. What was the error before? Okay, so I guess it does go after. Now you'll be faced with these issues a lot, because that's just life, make mistakes. 530, it changed because of the modification above. So 529. These are all going to be the same. Yep, and there we go. Remember, we have to subtract 1, that's why I didn't put 530. And you see, document validated successfully. We have now a PDF file that's fully valid. We can do whatever we want with it. It's really cool and really neat. But now I'm going to explain how to go over lines. How to make lines, rather. Lines are a pretty simple topic. We're going to completely break the validated PDF. As soon as we added that new line, we broke the PDF, basically. But we won't worry about that. I showed you how to validate it before, how to make it correct. You can just repeat that step for this. So now, we're going to put some red lines. Capital G, or RG, is line stroke. Lowercase is the fill. G, or RG. Fill, RG, RG, stroke. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a line and we're just going to create a crazy shape. The first command we're going to go over is M. M is move to. In PostScript it would be move to. Move to basically moves the pen to a location. So 10, we're going to put it at 10, and we're going to put it a bit under the text at 760 M. So you see, if we refresh this, we'll see nothing. Nothing has changed. Well, because we didn't do anything. Let's create a line. Let's make it 40 long. Line S. L is line. See, we have a red line now. And it is 1 point big. Capital S means don't close the shape. S is close the shape. And S just strokes it. F would fill it. Like if we had a polygon we wanted to fill, we would replace S with F, but we can't fill anything. But what if we want to change the width of the line? By default, it's 1W. W sets the line width. But maybe we want it 2W. We want it a bit thicker, like that. Oh, I would say that's good. I like that. And we're just gonna make a really weird shape. Doesn't have to be anything sensical. Just for the sake of this tutorial, you can make a sensical shape later. Unlike rectangles, the coordinates are not relative. These coordinates are absolutely absolute. Now, so say, for example, this isn't saying that we want it 50 pixels away from here. This is saying we want it exactly at 50 pixels. So draw a line from 10,760 to 50,760. Now we're going to make the shape a bit more crazy. We're going to have to do 100 or 90 is better. 720 S. Or forgot the line 2. Line 2 S. See, now we have this ramp-like thing. And if we change this to a lowercase s, it'll close the shape for us. So we now have this weird shape closed for us. We're going to create a ramp-like thing. actually. So it's 720. There we go. Keep forgetting the line. Ah, there we go. So now we have this trapezoid-like shape, but now we want to close it. So change that to our lowercase s. I just wanted to show you that differences once more, so you really got it. So there's really no limit with shapes. You can create curved lines too, using the Q function, I think. But that's not for this tutorial. It's a bit more complex subject. It's not that complex, but I'll show you if you guys want to see it in another tutorial. But say we want to fill this shape now. Unfortunately, we can't just put F after it. We have to redefine the whole shape. So a nice way of doing that, and what I would recommend doing, is first having the fill, and then the stroke. Just because PDF paints it from top to bottom. So if you have the fill first, the fill will be the stroke will actually cover a bit of the fill, making it look more correct. However, if we have the stroke first, the fill will cover a bit of the stroke, and that's not what we want. I mean, unless you do want it. I don't. So now, we're going to set the color of the fill to maybe a bit less of a red. So 0.6, 0.6, 100% red, 60% green, 60% blue. RG. Like that. And what we forgot to do is put fill here. There we go. Fill, then stroke. So now we have this, and it's filled. So we don't have to manually fill it in or anything. We just redefine the shape again. Once for the stroke and once for the fill. And we told it to fill it. So if we validate this again, we'll see it's now invalid because our positions have changed. The length of this has changed. The position of the Xref table has changed. And the length of it has changed. I already said that. So we can redo all that, but that's going to be it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and maybe I'll follow up with a sequel on more PDF stuff. Thanks, this was Xref, and I am done now. Goodbye.